The Type 71. This is a weird tank. And in today's video, I'm going to be stating my final opinions on this tank. Obviously, when a new vehicle is introduced, all the YouTubers try to make a video very quickly to gain the views on the vehicle. That's just common sense. So my initial video on the tank was just a general basic overview of the vehicle, telling you how to play it and the basic things you should know. My second video talked about gun depression or mobility, what is better. And after a long time of deciding for myself, definitely mobility is the way to go. But today, I'm going to be talking about, after I've played a fair amount of battles in this tank, what I feel is the ultimate verdict of this tank. Now, I do want to point out, I do not think this is an overpowered vehicle, nor do I think it's the strongest tier 10 heavy in the game. It's a strong heavy, don't get me wrong, but I do feel vehicles like the IS-7 can do this tank's job, but a bit better. The problem I have with the tank is the alpha combined with the accuracy. If we take a look at the T110E5, the E5 is a vehicle that most people consider having the worst gun for a heavy in tier 10 because of its DPM. And well, you might notice this, but the E5 at 2590 DPM has the same as the Type 71. And that's why it's so hard for players to get really good average damage in it. Type 71 for me alone is going around 3300 average damage, which is strong, but even players like Fatness, who normally average around 3800 in tier 10, he's only going around 3400 in this vehicle, last time I checked at least, which showcases that really this isn't a tank that farms damage because it doesn't have the damage per minute to output. Even with me running Rammer, the DPM is still a hassle to try and get out. And that's the first problem with the vehicle, is that the DPM is really poor. And then it's when you add on the poor DPM with the 0.344 dispersion and 2.5 second aiming time. Its aiming time is 26% worse than the E5's. Its dispersion is 10% worse. And although its movement dispersion is better, the problem is its turret dispersion is worse. So every time you move the turret on this tank, it blooms. And it blooms by quite a bit, may I add. Meaning that really, you gotta spend a long time aiming in your shells to penetrate your shots. Now, the other stats about this tank are quite strong. It's got a good power to weight, as you can see, 16.33, but not as good as the E5's. Even if you're running the super speed boost consumable, this tank's got a power to weight of around 20. The E5's actually quite mobile, I would be willing to say. So my overall opinion on this tank, and we're going to obviously play some battles in the vehicle, but overall, I would say that yes, it is a very strong tank, but I think that almost everybody overcompensated how strong this tank was going to be. It's got weak turret cheeks. You can penetrate the turret with around 330 millimeters of heat pen quite easily. It's got a big ol' hatch. I would say the hatch is easier to pen on this vehicle than a T110E5's, especially for how slow that turret moves. Its upper plate can be penned by almost any premium shells from other tier 10 heavies, and it's an incredibly long vehicle. It's the same length as a mouse. I mean, the E5 is almost like a quarter off of this vehicle's overall length, which means that you got to be very careful when showing this tank's armor profile. Now, we do got a TVP over here, which I'm going to get a free shell into, because obviously, with the mobility I'm running on this tank, I'm able to get that free shell into the TVP. Now, we've got the 183 over here, and let's get a shell into the 183. Thankfully, he missed me, which is great. So, already we've done a decent job this game. We've been able to dump out 400 damage onto the 183, and actually, there you go, another little bit of damage there as well into the 183. That's 800 hit points into him. I'm actually running gun rammer on this tank. I dislike the DPM so much that I feel more comfortable when running gun rammer than actually the Cali, because the DPM just really struggles. But we have been able to get a very, very hefty chunk of damage into the enemy 183. Now we're going to put on our adrenaline and boom, nice shell into the E75. All right, we're going to reload again. 3 more seconds left. Our adrenaline with our DPM is coming in handy here. There you go. Another nice chunk of damage into you. And all right, we've done a decent job so far this game. We got the IS-7 in front. We also got the VK-90 off to the side. I'm still a little cautious about that T-30. Not sure if the guy's still sitting here. No, it doesn't look like he is. We also got the IS-7 crossing. Wow, that was a lucky shell. Let's just be real. That was an incredibly lucky shell, the fact that that actually ended up hitting and then penetrating that IS-7. Aiming it on the E-75. All right, nice. We were able to get a bit of damage out there. We're up to 3,200 damage dealt in this game so far, and... Oh, that was my fault. I just didn't aim in, so I will take the blame for that shell missing. We got the IS-7 off to the side. Let's push up towards this IS-7. And, well, you know, we also got the VK-90 over here. Let's load in a heat shell. There you go. Nice tap into the VK. We're doing okay so far. We're doing our job. This is where the tank's gun is actually quite okay, is when you put it in a situation like this where you can get some shells out. You can see, though, because I have sacrificed my penetration to get more DPM when trying to penetrate vehicles like that tank over there, it's not so great. Now, we do have the T-30 off to the side, and I'm going to push on this T-30 because I think that'll be a pretty easy chunk of damage for me to get. So there you go. One nice shell into the T-30, putting on my adrenaline again. Progetto, how have you managed to bounce 2 shells on this T-30? Like, that's actually quite impressive. There you go. Another nice pen into this vehicle, and with that, our team is actually somehow throwing. All right, well, we were able to get a bounce from this guy by shoving my gun right into his tank, and with that, we were able to finish him off. Okay, so we got the VK-90, we got the IS-7. Let's turn our tank fairly quickly. Let's get towards the... Oh, wow, lag is us. Lag is us today. Our ping was quite poor there for a moment. Our IS-7 unfortunately bounced that shell, and now we got the VK-90, who's probably going to get into a side scrape here, but I'm going to load a shell right into your lower plate. All right. Well, with that, we're up to 5,200 damage dealt, and this was a really good battle to showcase all the strengths of this vehicle. Its gun, you can see the aiming time, it takes a while. Like, you have to give it time to aim in. We got a couple lucky snaps here and there, especially on that 183, but overall, a very, very strong battle, and yeah, 5,200 damage. I don't think that'll be a mastery because there's a lot of people that perform very well in this tank. Yes, a first class. But now that you've seen a really good battle in the tank live, I'm going to showcase a game where the tank doesn't work necessarily amazing because of the gun. So this battle you're going to see now is actually not a replay. This is a recording of a live battle I played earlier. I was really, really angry at the ending result of this game, so I was just too flustered, couldn't get my words together to finish the video, and instead I decided that I'm just going to use the replay. Turns out that my replays were not enabled, so good thing I had my recording on. Now this battle is going to showcase everything that Type 71 is amazing at doing. You can see here, I've used the mobility to get across. You couldn't even do that in an IS-7 because of your acceleration. So I've easily used my mobility, gotten across, didn't even get detected, and I'm over here. This is fantastic for me. You can see I've gotten a nice shell into the Conway, and alright, this is a good position for the Type 71. There's one thing that I can definitely say this tank is amazing at doing, and that is side scraping. It's really, really good at side scraping. You can see that here. We are going to block a lot of damage just using our side armor. Now, to be fair, you could side scrape in really any heavy at that. I mean, a T110E5, a Super Conqueror, even a 5A could probably side scrape at this angle here, and I mean, you'd block all this damage. This isn't very impressive what I'm doing. We're gonna get a nice shell right into the Concept 1B's lower plate. There you go. More shells at my side armor. I don't even know why they're shooting these shells. I mean, these are pretty silly shells. Here's our first shot that derps out. Aiming at the lower plate of the IS-7. I don't even know where it goes. It says track hit. So, didn't go where we aimed. That was a pretty easy shell on his lower plate. And the sad part is, that shell at the later part of this battle, that one pen there, could have made a huge difference in the overall result of this game. Okay, so we're going to aim in a shell into the side of the IS. Oh, wait, no, we got that grill, and that's a free chunk of damage right there. Okay, so we've done pretty good so far. We've been able to clear the grill, and now we're moving on to the IS-7. And, yeah... IS-7 side armor, everybody. Isn't that such a fun tank to fight? I don't know why Wargaming ever did that. Either way, we're going to get a shell into the rear of this Concept. Nice slap. Lights him on fire. Again, I'm going to get back to side scraping against this IS-7, and he's not going to shoot at me. Okay, so we got the 50B, IS-7 off to the side, and we got the Concept. Okay, I'm going to get a shell into this Concept 1B. Nice. All right, that's definitely what I want to do. We also get a bounce from him, which is perfect. And, oh boy, there's the mediums. Why are the mediums shooting us? Well, it turns out that our T-22 medium medium player just bought the tank in store, has almost no battles, and decided that pushing his medium tank heavy side was the way to go. Unfortunately, that's not the way. We would have easily won this game if our mediums had just pushed medium side, but seems like I got the unlucky draw. Now, in this situation here, I want to shoot the Bat Chat. That's the mobility. That's the tank that would most likely have an effect to clearing me. So, now that the Bat Chat is at least a potential one-shot, that's really good for me. 50Bs off to the side, and I'm going to get a shell right into the 50Bs track wheel. Okay, nice. Again, side-scraping the tank, like you should, like a bouse. So, we're doing good, and, ooh, that one I over-angled just a bit too much, but, I mean, hey, we've blocked an insane amount of damage this game so far. 704 does his job, clears the Bat Chat. This here, right here, is where the gun just sucks. Why? Why, gun? If that shell had hit, that would have been one tank easily cleared off of their team I wouldn't have to deal with later. But because that shell did not hit, a simple, easy shell, the game screwed me. And this here, the tank low rolls. But thankfully, we are able to get a ram into the IS-7. In this situation here, that Conway should be dead. If that Conway was dead, I would easily have been able to make my way over to the 54E1 and help my teammate. But unfortunate. So I take a shell into the Conway, and now we make our way over to the 54E1. This battle showcases everything great and everything bad about the vehicle. What do I mean by that? Well, let's be real. If I was in a tank that had more DPM, I definitely could have made a bigger impact in this game. You know, if I was in a 113, I would have absolutely smashed that battlefield over there. I could have side-scraped just as well. Even if I was in an IS-4, I would have had more premium pen, especially because I run Cali on it, because believe it or not, the IS-4 actually has more DPM than this tank. So I actually would have just buttered through the IS-7, shells would have easily penned again, could have side-scraped there. It's just that the tank has a bit of issues here and there when it comes to the gun, and one or two of those troll bounces can completely cause you to lose a battle, like it did on that Conway. If I'd been able to hit that Conway, that one shell, and that one shell I fired earlier cleared that IS-7, we could have won. So what I would say as a conclusion to the Type 71 on my channel is that it is a very strong tank, and it's one of the top contenders up there against the IS-7, the IS-4, king of the troll frontal armor tanks. But the gun, it's just really lackluster. Even the IS-4 is more alpha, and to be real, the IS-4's got more pen. The IS-7's got way more alpha, which means that even though you might not pen as many shells, when you do, it hits a lot harder. Right now, the Type 71's in a pretty good spot. I think it's a very well-balanced vehicle, and as long as you know how to use it, it can be an incredibly influential tank. Would I suggest the grind the line? Honestly, no. It's quite a boring vehicle, and because of that, it's not a very engaging tank to play. Either way, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments down below. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.